Abercrombie denim is everything right now. Denim should feel like this. Confident, easy, like your butt has never looked better. If you didn't know, Abercrombie's Curve Love denim went viral in 2019 for eliminating waist gap, and it's still a game changer. Between that and their classic fits with a straighter line from waist to hip, the perfect denim does exist. Shop Abercrombie denim in the app, online, and in store.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is Optimal Living Daily, the dedicated pursuit of happiness, by Mark Fisher of MarkFisherFitness.com, and I'm Justin Malik. We're going to jump right into today's article as we optimize your life. The Dedicated Pursuit of Happiness, by Mark Fisher of MarkFisherFitness.com. This is Brian Patrick Murphy. He's also known as Manimal, BPM, and the Minister of Belief. Brian is one of the most inspiring men I know, and he's also one of the happiest. The kind of happiness Brian exhibits reminds me of some of the people I've met in faraway lands who, despite their conditions, are some of the happiest and most generous people I met on the planet. These were people, as my friend Pierre once explained after sharing similar sentiments, that didn't just humble me with their generosity, they humiliated me with it. Brian humiliates me with his generous heart. The other day, while we were in a gratitude circle at the end of our workout, Brian shared that it was the 16th anniversary of his ex-girlfriend's passing, Megan Louise Krall, who was killed in a fatal car crash. There was silence after that admission. He then told me how he honors her memory every day and how she taught him what a privilege it is to be alive. Brian shared how he truly hit rock bottom after her passing and had to build himself up. The way he did that was by creating very specific rituals in his life. He listened to Bruce Springsteen's The Land of Hope and Dreams for 2 years on repeat until he wore out the CD. He read Tom Joad's final speech to his mom from The Grapes of Wrath every night before he went to bed. He created mantras that he would repeat in his head. Today is a great day, as he practiced smiling in the mirror. And even today, he never allows himself to listen to music that puts him in a bad mood and starts most days with Travis Tritt's "It's a Great Day to Be Alive." And then it all clicked. Suddenly, all the rituals he had developed over the past 16 years made absolute sense. By creating these rituals, Brian understood that happiness is not a byproduct of our environment, but a choice to pursue deep inner contentment. Since 2005, the field of positive psychology has begun to gain traction in the science world. Recently, I became interested in this field and began reading various books and articles on the subject. Through my research, I was able to compare the practice of happiness to the practice of transforming your body. For example, if someone wants to lose weight, there are various models of fitness that can be prescribed to achieve results. However, if someone wants to be happy, it's not about prescribing success, like getting the job, finding the one, and so on. Rather, it's a rigorous practice of presence and belief. It's a choice we're faced with on a moment-to-moment basis on how we view the world. This is nothing new. Buddhists have delineated a contemplative practice for the possibility of a transformation of the human heart over the past 2,500 years. For instance, I once sat with a Tibetan monk during my time in Mongolia, and he told me about the Four Noble Truths, the essence of this transformation. He told me that all life is suffering. Now, that doesn't mean all life is negative. It means things happen. He then told me suffering comes from ignorance, and that ignorance can be overcome through practice. It's only now that I'm beginning to understand what he meant so many years ago. Jack Gilbert, in his poem, A Brief for the Defense, perhaps says it best. We must have the stubbornness to accept our gladness in the ruthless furnace of this world. So how do we do that? There are a few ways. It starts with presence. According to studies, 46.9% of the waking hours is spent thinking about what isn't going on in that particular moment. For instance, as you walk down the street, your mind often goes to future conversations or past events instead of focusing on the present. As you go throughout your day, begin to take notice how often you're not in the moment. And when you find yourself thinking of the past or future, pretend you have a fishing rod and reel yourself back into the present. Then ask yourself, what am I grateful for in this moment? Throughout your practice, take notice of what is your positive to negative thought ratio on average. As you begin to identify negative thinking patterns, you must then begin to understand that belief creates thoughts, which in turn create emotions and influence behavior. Imagine you have a garden of happiness and that the negative belief you keep noticing is a weed. In order to get rid of that weed, we have to plant lots of flowers. In fact, we have to counter the subconscious by approximately 5,000 times for each negative belief. Think of Brian wearing out his Bruce Springsteen CD over a period of 2 years. It's only then we'll begin to weed out those negative beliefs in our lives. As you begin, keep reminding yourself that this is a practice as much as lifting weights is a practice. And know that Brian Patrick Murphy will always be your spirit animal. I'll end with a story. Last month, I joined Brian during his birthday celebration out on Fire Island. There was a large storm that weekend, and it was cold, and the surf was pretty intense. Brian turned to Kyle Langworthy and I and said, "Let's go jump in the ocean." Every part of me knew that it wasn't the greatest idea, but I reminded myself of the practice. So I jumped in that ocean. I planted that flower. And Brian reminded me what a privilege it is to be alive. You just listened to the post titled The Dedicated Pursuit of Happiness by Mark Fisher of MarkFisherFitness.com. And I'll be right back with my commentary.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Lowe's has the Labor Day deals you need to give your home a new look. Buy one, get one free select interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Then, add the final touch with 2 for $8 on select 2.5 or 3-quart mums. Refresh your home and save big while doing it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Mums offer in-store only. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowes.com/rebates for details.
Thank you to Mark. It definitely is a practice, just like health and fitness. If you've listened to this podcast for a bit, you probably already know this, but I thought the story was a great reminder. And this podcast is supposed to serve as a practice for both you and me. It's not necessarily a specific takeaway that's going to transform us. It's going through this daily, hearing positivity, because there definitely is a lot of negativity out there, not even including the negativity in our own heads. For me, getting some sun in the morning, doing some Tai Chi, or just simple stretching, they're choices. Each one is like the author said, planting a flower for the day. It's a small action that can put me in a calm, centered state of mind before the chaos of the day can take over. It's not about waiting to feel good and then doing these things. It's about doing these things in order to feel good. A choice instead of a reaction. So I think it's a great way to look at our own small daily habits. They're not just things to do on a to-do list. They can be a deliberate practice of finding happiness. Something to keep in mind today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thank you for listening and being here and for subscribing to or following the show. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.